Hey, welcome to the shop. I have had a lot of questions about the Landick big ass and small ass seats, and specifically how you go about installing those. There's a lot of interest, but a lot of people are unsure how to install them. So, the best answer I can give you is to find somebody who knows what they're doing and have them walk you through it. But if you can't do that, here is a quick and dirty tutorial on installing the Landick big ass and small ass seats. So, let me flip the camera around. Maybe. And here is my trusty Winona J203, one of the most enjoyable boats that I think I've ever paddled. Lots of fun, but it has the factory Winona seat, which is a carbon seat that's fairly small. Not a bad seat, but not the most comfortable seat for me or probably for you. So we need to remove this seat, and we're going to replace it today with a Landick small ass seat. You could also put a Landick big ass seat in the J203, even though it won't fit between the gunnels because the gunnels are so narrow. The boat has so much tumble home and it gets wide so quickly under the gunnels that a big ass seat does actually fit in this boat if you wanted to use one. In order to remove this seat, which is the first thing we have to do, you would take out the hardware. So take out the bolt and the nut that is on each corner of your sliding seat rails. So there's one on each corner. So you'd remove those, take out the entire frame. Notice it's disconnected from the sliding foot brace. Take out the entire frame and cut the fiberglass which binds this seat to the seat frame underneath it. Now I've already done that, so you can see I just removed these pieces of fiberglass. The fiberglass does remove the paint, so these are just painted aluminum seats. They're not anodized or seat rails, so it does remove the black paint. That's no big deal. If you want to paint it before you reinstall your new seat, you can. You certainly don't have to. So we're going to go ahead and put this seat aside. And now we're going to put the Landick big ass seat onto the seat rails. Now, you'll notice that in the instructions that come with a Landick seat, that the most important part of the installation is getting the angle right. And by angle, we're talking about the tilt front to back of the seat in this direction here. So that would be a high tilt, this would be a low tilt. The reason that's important is that these seats spread the surface area or spread the pressure of you sitting over a wider surface area. And that means you want the front of the seat to cradle the backs of your legs without putting pressure points on them. So everybody's angle is going to be different because of your anatomy, because of your seat height, and because of the distance that you place your foot brace from the front edge of your seat. All of those things come into play and determine the best seat angle for you. So how do you figure out what that is? You'll notice that I've put the frame back in the boat even though it's not attached with hardware. If I didn't know what my perfect seat angle was, I would put this boat on the ground, either in the grass or on some kind of padding on my floor, and I would simply sit in it. Even though the seat's not attached, it can rest on the rails, and I can test the angle simply by sliding the seat forward and back on the seat rails. See that? On the seat frame. Because of the curve on the back of the seat, the farther forward I slide the seat, the higher the angle is. The farther back I slide the seat, the lower the angle is. So I happen to know what my ideal seat angle is in this boat, and it's about that, right there. If you don't know, that's perfectly okay. You would just play with this until you found the most comfortable seat angle. If you really want to be specific, you could find what you think is the right angle, use some Gorilla Tape or something to tape the seat into place, bring your iPad down to the garage or out into the yard and watch a show while you sit here for an hour or so and see how your butt feels. And hopefully it feels pretty good, right? But once you know that angle, you can mark it. And in my case, the way that I do it is I find the right angle and then I simply reach behind the seat and pinch it. And you can see that this finger is right up against the seat and it's right up against the back of that seat rail. That tells me where that rail goes. And look at this. There's my mark. I've already done this on this seat. But that's how I figure out what my angle is, and that's how I mark it on the seat itself. So the next step, once you've got that seat angle down, is to attach the seat to the frame. That's what I'll do next. I'm not actually going to show you the process, but I'll show you the outcome and show you how it was done. It's just some simple fiberglass work or simple epoxy and fiberglass work. So I will do that now, and I'll be back with you in just a moment. Okay, here is the seat frame. You'll notice that it's been removed from the boat. The seat is upside down on my bench. I marked lines. I don't know if you can see my my marker lines here to make sure that my seat frame is square and centered. And then I just used a 5-minute epoxy to temporarily tack the seat to the seat frame. So you can see there's just a little dollop there, and some more here. That will hold the seat steady while I do the final glass work, which is coming up next. All right, now that that 5-minute epoxy has set, this means 5-minute epoxy. After that is set, I've taken some thickened regular epoxy. In this case, it was West Systems, and I mixed it with some carbon powder to make it black. That's not necessary, but I also mixed it with some milled glass fibers and some fumed silica or colloidal silica, and that makes a thickened paste that can act as a structural filler. And I've created a bedding, so I've bedded each of these rails in that mixture, and I'll let that cure. The reason for that is that it just creates a more solid foundation instead of just having the seat touching the rails in a few spots. In this case, it would have been 3 spots, 1 spot there, 1 there, and 1 here, and then wrapping it in carbon. That eventually can lead to a failure because you don't have good contact between the frame and the seat itself. So by bedding it like this, you get a very good solid foundation, and it will be an extremely solid build. This is not what you want to do if you have any questions about whether or not your seat is in the right position or the right angle, because this will make it a lot harder to change in the future. However, I'm pretty confident and I want my seat to be rock solid, so I've done this bedding process. Next up, we wrap it in carbon. Back in a moment. And we're back. You can see I added a layer of carbon fiber cloth here and here, so that wraps right over that foundation that we created with that bedding, that thickened epoxy bedding. The carbon fiber cloth, I guess I've got actually 2 layers. There's a layer here that's a smaller piece. There's a layer here that's a smaller piece with a big piece over it to make it look nice and tidy. And down here, there is just 1 single piece of carbon fiber. It has that nice, it has the same finish as the seat itself. It has that nice finished texture to it, except in spots where there was a little bridging or bubble like here and here. It has that nice finish because I used peel ply. This is a special fabric that you lay down over the cloth and over the epoxy after you've wet it out. And it actually serves a number of different functions, especially in vacuum bag layups. But here, it was just purely used to give that nice matte finish, nice smooth finish. All the fibers are laying down. So next up is to give this a light sanding, just to get rid of any little edges. I'm just feeling around. I guess there are a couple of small sharp edges there where the edges of the fabric didn't quite lay down. But I'll go through and sand it just to make sure that all of those little bits are taken care of. And then into the boat it goes. So that is what is next. And there it is. This is the Landick small ass seat installed. You can see our glassing handiwork back there. This is the work that you just saw us do at the bench. So our seat is reinstalled. We've reinstalled the hardware. We've reconnected our slider rods to our foot brace so that it all slides as one unit. That's a standard Winona thing. We've reinstalled our risers. I get these risers, which are fantastic little things. I get these risers from ZRE, so Zavro Racing Equipment. Really inexpensive and a great addition to your boat. They give you better leverage, even though the boat becomes slightly less stable, but you can take them out and put them back in. All you need is a wrench and a screwdriver. So there's our seat. It is all done. We've upgraded from the factory Winona seat, which is quite a bit smaller. Do be aware that after you've installed this seat, you may need to fine-tune your seat height again, because the seat height could have changed when you swapped seats out, just because of the position of the seat on the frame. And you may also need to adjust your foot brace, because you could have changed the spot where your sit bones are. Might have moved forward or backwards a little bit on the seat rail. So just be aware of that. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope if you are one of our Landick seat customers that you find it as comfortable as I do. And we appreciate your business. Happy paddling. Bye, everybody.